Hello everyone, Pastor George here with Mailbag Friday. I am here to answer some questions that Claude sent in about the 7 deadly sins, but there's also kind of a funny one here. And he asked me, how many t-shirts do you have? So I'll actually answer that one. Well, as you probably noticed, I probably do not have as many as you think I have. I have worn the same t-shirt a few times by this point, most likely. But the general, you've caught onto a trend here that has been led to a lot of consternation between me and my dad and me and my ex-girlfriends, who many of which do not like the fact that I have as many t-shirts as I have and rewear them as often as I do, usually with like holes and things like that. I generally don't buy myself new t-shirts. I'm trying to get better at it, but in general, not too good at it. So I like to wear t-shirts. I love them. They're comfy. I don't know. I'm a big fan. And then you can have like fun stuff like this on it. So I don't know. It's not stuffy. I like to keep it normal, you know. But I'll try and get a bigger variety just to continue to please the crowd. On to the more serious question. Claude has two. I'll answer one this week, and I'll answer another one next week on the 7 deadly sins, which, as some of you know, I did a series on a little while ago. And the first question is, why did the Catholic Church find it necessary, or the Catholic Church, find it necessary to expand on the 10 Commandments? So I guess 2 quick notes here. The first thing that I want to talk about is that this just is just a historical thing. It actually precedes kind of like the Catholic Church thing. This is like put together by monks pretty early in the history of Christianity, and it's kind of been adopted as a schema across the board by like every church, so like Eastern Orthodox and the Catholics and stuff like that. Just because we're Presbyterian and we are found in the Latin tradition, right, the Western tradition, we are going to interact more with the Catholic way or the historical Latin way that the church thought about these things. So I'm not quite sure exactly when all of these additional things were added on in terms of like venial sins and mortal sins and the things that the Catholic Church now likes to kind of parse out as to when that became a thing. I don't, it's not so much of an adding on of the 10 Commandments, because it's not so much a commandment, right? It's more of a noticing of what pitfalls people fall into. And the 10 Commandments certainly fall into a very similar thing in many respects, where like you can kind of fit them into these different categories and stuff like that. They aren't seen as commandments for like 2 reasons. And the first one is, one, they aren't given by God, right? The 7 deadly sins is a human schema that's kind of designed to try and figure out where certain sins fall and like what type of sins are people committing, so we can be more aware of them. And you always have to remember that the 7 deadly sins is always supposed to be compared with its opposite, which is the 7 heavenly virtues, right? So it's supposed to be like, don't be prideful, be humble, right? Don't be greedy, be charitable, stuff like that. It's meant to have an opposite, not so much a thou shalt not aspect that the 10 Commandments have. And the 10 Commandments are also given by God, right? Those are things that we cannot change or kind of develop a schema for, because they were given to us. So that's kind of what I'm getting at here. Something I want to make clear, even in the post-mortem of my sermon series, and I said it at the beginning of that series, is that like we can't take those things, the 7 deadly sins, as being somehow authoritative, because they're not found in Scripture, right? So all sins are deadly. The reason I think it's nice to think about this whole schema is the fact that it just helps us identify what sins we're doing where, and how that fits into God's whole situation and how He feels about the things that we do. So that's why I bring it up. That's a good question, though. Not necessarily expansion on the 10 Commandments, more so just a what type of sin are you kind of falling into type thing. And of course, we should try and not do all sin, right? We should try not to sin. So that's why it's a bigger deal. But a good question. I'll answer your second one next week. Everyone, I'll see you on Sunday. If my car gets shoveled out, which it will, I'm sure. and I'll see you for worship and then next week's Theolog. So peace out.